Welcome, visionaries. This is your host, the INFJ Visionary. And the topic of today's broadcast is going to be, let's call it friends. How about that? I've touched on this theme a fair amount in some of our other talks together, but it feels like the time to explore it a little more fully. So I hope you have some friends. Like I said, I've had friends come and go. I've had friends I've held on to for a long time. I think as we get older, a lot of us increasingly have less friends, and these are all things we've mentioned before, but of course we're going to keep covering the same ground over and over on this broadcast because, let's face it, every day you wake up and you're an INFJ, so the things that present themselves to you are going to be the same sorts of phenomenon over and over. Yeah. Now, also, as I've mentioned, I feel fortunate that I'm a bit older than most people, and I never thought I would get to be this age, but here we are. It's really great, though, in one sense, because I remember a world before all this digital stuff, and don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of digital. Well, mostly creating things with digital media. I've been in Photoshop for over 30 years. I've been working with music and all sorts of other things. I absolutely love expressing myself. And in the modern AI age, that opens up a whole other level of expression. I want to say creativity too, but we need to watch out, of course, for that. But getting to where I was headed here, I think for younger people that have been, say, in front of screens from from the time when they were very small and forming their cognitive abilities, they are at a distinct disadvantage in many ways because you there's a lot of things that go on in any social interaction that is not spoken, and a lot of clues and cues that have nothing to do with speech or text even. It's something you pick up when you're actually in the same room with someone else. And the thing is, like, INFJs are the masters of the assessment of the micro movement. No question about it. We are, I think, the masters of it. We have an ability to use our extroverted feeling like tendrils that go out and touch things, and we use our intuition to decipher what those patterns are and what the meanings behind them are. And this is incredibly powerful. And you can absolutely use this ability to easily make friends. I could make a friend. I can go out right now and probably make a friend somewhere. The thing is, what I'm just speaking for myself, of course, but the kind of friend that I want to have is the sort of friend that will indulge me in my flights of intuitive fancy without just judging it or recoiling in abject horror at some of the ideas being expressed that have little bearing on actual physical reality sometimes, but more closely resemble the sort of warp and weave below reality. And I think that's what I'm very much tuned into. And now I have had friends where we could have extensive ongoing conversations for hours about all the different facets of reality and the world and culture and the political milieu, you name it. And that's a friend. That's what you want. If you have something like that in your life, you're very fortunate and you should treasure that friendship. However, it may be that what happens as you age is things change. People move. People actually change. Sometimes people are one sort of thing when they're young, and quite often they may go down some tributaries that are not helpful for their advancement as human beings. Let's just put it that way. I think that's putting it kindly. Which is going to create a divergence between someone that's interested in becoming more awake, aware, and integrated versus someone who has maybe chosen a path of security or safety or, indulging themselves in God knows what, all the hedonistic things, as well as the ways you can spoil yourself on a consumer basis. It's pretty endless. You could get into anything really deeply. You could get into buying clothes and stuff. It just never ends. So, yeah, the friends you have are not necessarily the friends you're going to keep, especially if you're interested in progressing mentally, and they are not. And this can be exacerbated by distances in time and space, to the point where you find yourself stuck in the middle with yourself. And that's probably nothing new to you. That's been your whole life, your whole existence. And I think it doesn't really matter what your cognitive type is. This is the case. We all have an interior experience of life that is persistent. That's one of the defining qualities of being a human being. I think I'm just guessing because I'm an INFJ. I really don't understand how other types are from the inside, but I can intuit quite a lot from their behaviors and my repeated experiences with different types of people. And it seems to me that though they have a subjective experience of life that only they appreciate and experience, a lot of other types seem to have a more ready give and take with other people and reality. Now, I know, obviously, that we are quite a bit more adept at being social than some of the other introverted types. So don't get me wrong here. That what I'm saying is more existential, you know. Because yes, we can use our extroverted feeling component to navigate, all the different social situations that arise, and to the degree where some INFJs end up getting lost in their what we call facades or projections that they use to navigate social reality. They get lost in them to the point where they may not be able to find their true self. And this can really happen pretty easily when you're an INFJ, because I think a lot of us, when we look inside, what we see is, you know, a void, an abyss. Yes, there's lots of things swirling around. There's things we can identify with and attach ourselves to, but I just speaking again for myself, I think essentially inside I'm mostly empty. Yeah. But it's got me thinking about, we're at the end of this. We said a bit about friendship and stuff, but I want to say a little bit about personality, and I'll probably end up expanding upon this later on in another broadcast. But we've got a good couple minutes here left, so I think we can address this idea, and that is personality. I have noticed that a lot of the aspects of my personality, especially the ones used to deal with um, talking to other people, engaging in things like these broadcasts and things, or we are quite a bit like a hermit crab. And if you don't know what a hermit crab is, it's like this crab that crawls in and occupies an empty shell. And in some cases, they just keep attaching things to the shell. So they're walking around with all this stuff stuck on them that isn't really them, but it is in a sense, because that's the sort of life they've crafted for themselves. And I think we do this with the personality that we project out into the world. I know I do, and I can even point to certain verbal mannerisms I have and ways I have of talking that are based on people I thought had an engaging way of interacting with others. And this is going back 30, 40 years even. Some of these people, I was just listening to another bit of media I put together, and I can definitely hear that person's voice in some of the things I say. It's a bit of a almost an East Coast sort of jocular kind of buddy sort of personality that I can adopt sometimes, and it's a lovely persona, and very much. I'm not saying I'm not that thing. I'm just saying that it's sort of like clothes, something you put on, and that's how you're presenting yourself to the world. Now, you can put on clothes just to stay warm, or you can put on clothes to present a image to the world, and that's kind of where I'm coming from. Anyway, that's it for this broadcast. I hope you got something from it, and keep on visionating. And until I come back, stay out of trouble.